Hey, today I'm talking about 3 films featuring 3 actresses that I am mad crushing on, and the names of those 3 movies are Evil Dead, The Oldest Profession, and That Awkward Moment. First up is Evil Dead 2013. This is a, I guess, soft remake of the classic 80s movies, The Evil Dead. It's not exactly a remake though, because they made completely new characters with different motivations. The same sorts of stuff does happen to them, a lot of similar beats, but I think technically this takes place in the same universe as all of the other Evil Dead properties. So Evil Dead 1, 2, Army of Darkness, and Ash vs. the Evil Dead. I'm not the expert on the situation, my older brother Justin is. I thought about rewatching the original Evil Dead trilogy prior to watching this one, just because I haven't watched them since high school, but Justin said, I don't really need to because this movie's kind of doing its own thing. And I think that was fine. I do vaguely remember what all happened in there, and I think that was kind of the mindset you're supposed to go into with this movie. If you're unfamiliar with the Evil Dead, the basic premise is a group of young adults go to this cabin. In this particular case, it's because Jane Levy, the love of my life, she is so young in this. She has such a baby face. And also she doesn't have her signature red hair, which I know it's not her natural hair. And I do love her with the red hair. I do also enjoy seeing her with other hair colors. It's fun. Anyway, her character is a drug addict. And so it's supposed to be like a weekend away to get her dry. But then demons attack. And this movie was interesting because besides Jane Levy, the acting was atrocious. It was so god-awful. And I truly hated the 2 kind of main characters. Jane plays the main character of the movie. She's the lead, I believe she's top billed, and she is the central thing to everything. But really, her brother character is the main character because she kind of gets sidelined when stuff happens. But he's the lead of everything. He sort of saves part of the day. And then the other main character is the other male who is just the expedition dump character, the nerd. And both of their characters are just atrocious. I hate everything about them. They're not good characters. They're not even good bad characters. They're just bad. Poorly written, I think would be a good way to phrase it. And then I can't really shit on the other 2 women that are in this movie because they just don't really do a lot. The one is a doctor who kind of does some stuff and gets angry a bit. That's about it. We don't really figure out her relationship with everyone else. Maybe she dated the brother in the past and that's why she doesn't like him and then also doesn't like his new girlfriend. Also, is that his new girlfriend? I don't know. She came with the brother. All I really know for certain is that she is a nurse. But it's okay because that actually doesn't come into play for the rest of the movie. Even though at one point specifically, the brother, who is a mechanic, is helping someone who was recently wounded. And the nurse character is just oh, what do I do? And I'm what do you mean, what do you do? You're a nurse. You should know what to do. You should be taking charge right now. Why aren't you doing that? Oh, because we need the other person to expedition dump to the main character. That makes sense. All right. Also, they have a nurse and a doctor, and neither of them once tell people to not pull out nails that go into people and glass shards that go into people, big ones. And they're just pulling them out left and right. And not once does the doctor or nurse be hey, don't do that. Or the scene where someone cuts off their arm, because it happens and it's cool. Do they be oh, we need to cauterize this, otherwise I'm gonna bleed out and die. Because that's what would happen in all of those situations. Okay, I am dumping on this movie a lot, and for a good reason, but the interesting thing is, I actually quite enjoyed this movie. Putting all that shit aside, the horror and gore in this movie are incredible. There is so much blood and it looks amazing. And then the scary spooky stuff got me. I was just constantly looking behind me being wait, what's that? There's someone in here? What's going on? Is there a demon in my room right now? And just it worked. All of that stuff was fantastic. And then bringing Jane back into this, I know I am very biased, but it was clear she is head and shoulders way above everyone else acting wise, and just like every single time she was on screen, she elevated the entire film. She was terrific. There was one shot, she just like pokes her head out of a cellar, and it was hilarious, and I loved it. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, it's to the point like, I would totally recommend this movie if like you want some really good gore, or if you want some good spooks, or if you're a fan of The Evil Dead. Like, this movie's pretty great. It definitely has its flaws, but like, I like buckets of blood. If you do too, you should watch this movie. Next up is The Oldest Profession. This is a 1967 French film, and it's an anthology film where 6 directors got together and each did a different segment about prostitution throughout all of human history. So it starts in the Stone Age and then goes all the way to the future. And this movie features Anna Karina, who has such incredibly beautiful eyes. That's what gets me every time I see her. There's something about them just pierces my soul. But yeah, since this movie is like segmented, it's kind of hard to like talk about it overall. It's easier just to talk about the segments. Overall, it's okay. It's a comedy, it's a sex comedy, and sometimes the sex stuff was good and sometimes the comedy stuff was good. Were they always good together? No. Okay, so the prehistoric one was okay. The story was alright. The humor, but this might be a little TMI. I'm a big fan of loincloths, and so I was very happy with all of the cave people. They were nice. That's all I have to say about that. The next one was the Roman one. That one was kind of dumb. I don't know. Caesar wants to have an orgy, but he doesn't know how to go about it. And then he doesn't realize that when he goes to see a prostitute, that his wife has been a prostitute for a really long time. And it's just kind of dumb. She's really pretty in it. It's a meh. The next one had Jeanne Monroe, who I was a big fan of last year, and I still like her a lot. It was really nice to see her because I didn't actually realize she was going to be in this. Her segments during the Napoleonic years, and I really liked seeing her, and I really liked her performance and her character were fun, but the story was kind of more... It's clear what the joke was, and the joke was just kind of making fun of her intelligence, and I didn't like that. So this one was alright. The next one was during the 20s, and it featured Raquel Welch, who you know from this poster, and you know this poster from this scene.
Big damn conspiracy! And everyone's in on it! Including her.
And this one was by far the funniest. I was legit laughing the entire time. And like, yeah, she's gorgeous and it was hilarious and I loved the story and it wasn't clear where the story was exactly going, but like you didn't know where it was going and it was funny and it was good. You just like, you were laughing along the entire time. It was great. I was afraid it was gonna overstay its welcome and it didn't, but it could have been a little shorter still. Though it was good. I loved the last little bit. It was nice. Grading just this segment, it was it was so much fun. Thoroughly enjoyed it. This one made the entire movie worth it. The next one was set in modern times, so late 60s, and it's about a prostitute who drives around in a car, but she got her license revoked, so she has a friend do it for her, and they like scheme together to get men. And this one was pretty fun. I enjoyed it a good solid amount. It was probably quite like a dachshund was featured in the first part of the segment, and he was super adorable, and I'm so happy like how often they cut back to him, because like they would legit like constantly like cut back to the dachshund for his reaction to everything, and I'm just like, I like this. But that brings me to The Future, which was directed by Godot. If you've watched my other videos on him, I'm not a big fan. I especially don't like how he does sci-fi because it's modern day France, so 60s France, but with narration that's like, oh, galaxies and space and maybe robots? And then just really weird acting choices, and I don't get it. I don't get who he's going for. This is the segment that does feature Anna, and she is gorgeous in it as always. As much as I didn't like this section, I think it had the biggest laugh from me, and that was, so apparently in the future, the way we drink water is it comes in a spray can, and you spray it at someone's face, and then they just go, And they did that for like a solid 2 minutes, like both of them just going back and forth. And it was so unexpected and so ridiculous. I lost it. It was a great moment. It made the whole rest of that segment worth it just for that one little bit. Otherwise, I wasn't really a fan of it. But yeah, so overall, it kind of averages out to just kind of okay. I really wouldn't recommend it. It's not that funny. It's not that sexy. It's fine. It's okay. I'm fine that I watched it. I have no regrets there. But yeah, I'm not going to watch this again. If I could, I would recommend just the segment from the 20s and the 60s segment. But yeah, so it's okay. Don't recommend it. And lastly is That Awkward Moment. This is a 2014 movie starring Zac Efron, Miles Teller, Michael B. Jordan, Mackenzie Davis, Jessica Lucas, my third one of her this year, and the whole reason I watched it, Miss Imogen Poots, who is a delight as always. I'm almost done with all of her filmography. It's so exciting. This movie was real interesting. So, the basic premise is Michael B. Jordan recently discovered that his wife, Jessica Lucas, has been cheating on him. So they're getting divorced, but he doesn't really want to get divorced. He wants to stay with her. So his friends make a pact that they will stay single until he gets a new girlfriend. I don't really know why. It doesn't really make any sense. I also don't understand the title of this movie. I think it's in reference to that awkward moment when you've been banging this chick for a while and then she's like, so where's this relationship going? And you don't want to date her because you're cool like that. And so it's really awkward that she wants to officially date you and you don't. It's fucking dumb. This movie is kind of a giant mess. The plot is super incredibly muddled. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. And honestly, it feels like they cut a lot of plot-related stuff to keep down the runtime, which definitely hurt the film a good solid amount. Like the introduction of Mackenzie Davis's character, three main guys at a bar, and the wide shot is just wider and she's there and we're supposed to accept that she's just a part of this thing with no explanation whatsoever. And after a few minutes, she starts talking and it's like, well, why? How do you know these people? What is going on? This makes no sense why you're just a part of this group. I still don't get it. And other stuff like that. Like at one point, one of the guys making fun of one of the other ones and is like, oh, I knew you'd be the first one to lose this bet. And I'm like, what bet? You didn't make a bet, you made a pact to not get girlfriend, which also is just a really dumb pact. Like, you're clearly dating people all throughout this movie. And like, I guess their argument is, oh, we're just banging, but like they're dating in secret. But like, you're not dating in secret. It's very clear to all the other people involved that you're dating. And it's like their obsession with not getting girlfriends, even though they very clearly have girlfriends, is dumb and doesn't make any sense. And then on top of all of that, this movie is filled to the brim with so many dick and poop jokes that have absolutely no place in this film. Like, this would be great dialogue for like a 13-year-old, but these guys are supposed to be in like their mid to late 20s. This dialogue makes absolutely no sense here. And then like the two main guys, Miles Teller and Zac Efron, are just such douchebags. Whenever they're like trying to pick up chicks, it's like, have you ever actually talked to a woman before? Cause this is just no. And then like they're constantly talking about like, oh, we're constantly banging all of these chicks. And I'm just like, you're such a D-bag. Like, these are not good characters. I hate them. Okay, so I didn't put this movie in the didn't like category, and that's because the chemistry in it is actually fantastic. The chemistry between the three bros is great. They definitely feel like real friends, and I felt like the actors were like really vibing. And then like the chemistry between all three of the couples was great. I crazy loved Zac Efron and Imogen Poots together. They were a delight. Mackenzie Davis and Miles Teller were awesome. They bounced off each other great. Michael B. Jordan and Jessica Lucas aren't really in this movie that much, but they're fine. They work. It's passable. So like, this movie was still enjoyable, even though I really didn't like a lot of stuff about it. Especially because like at one point it's just like Zac Efron kind of has the realization, what? Girls can like video games too? That's crazy. Girls like drinking? what? I was like, dude, you're dumb. This is dumb. This is so dumb. Fun fact, this is written and directed by the same guy who directed The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, a much, much better film. So yeah, this movie was frustrating. I feel like if I were to read the script, I would like this a lot more. I would hope so at the very least. They could tell there's some good shit here. It's just bogged down by so much garbage. So yeah, I don't recommend this movie. It's... Alrighty, now for today's rankings. First up, we got Evil Dead, sitting at number 39 in the quite like section. And then after that, not too terribly far behind, is The Oldest Profession, sitting at number 64 in the liked section. And then bringing up the rear, rightfully so, is That Awkward Moment, sitting at number 74 in the meh category. And this is out of a total of 96 old movies so far this year.